open muddy bay here was just right ahead of us here. To the left-hand side of us, we have the Visitors Information Center, built in 1931, originally as an Esso gas station and repair shop. Somehow it just fits perfectly at the Visitors Center. As we turn on to Humboldt Street here, follow along the edge of the old bay that would have been to our right-hand side, we have the Union Club. This was formerly an exclusive men's-only club, place for the elite of the city to meet. And nowadays it is for men and women, so the times have changed, but they still do have a men's night and a ladies' night as a little tip of the hat to the old days. It formed part of the backdrop for the movie Little Women with Winona Ryder. The back end of the former bay that was, so these condominiums to your left are all built on that filled in land as well. They're attempting to build another. They're still pulling gray mud out of it as we speak. Almost daily they're fighting against it, even though the hole is 25 feet deep. To the left-hand side of us, we have the Crystal Garden. This is the former swimming pool for the patrons of the hotel. The roof of the swimming pool was entirely glassed in, creating lots of natural light as well as probably some heat to keep the place warm. And on our left-hand side, we have the Royal British Columbia Museum with Thunderbird Park, a collection of totem poles carved by Chief Mungo Martin in 1956. I don't know how he carved all those totem poles. There was 12 of them in total. He carved them all in 1 year. I'd be hard-pressed to finish one totem pole in 1 year or 2 or 3. To the left-hand side of us, we have the Dutch Carillon Tower. This was a gift from the people of Holland to the people of Victoria in recognition of our soldiers' efforts at liberating Holland from the Nazi occupation near the end of the Second World War. And the Dutch are eternally grateful to Canada for that sacrifice and effort. As we cross the street here, on your left-hand side, you'll find the Legislative Assembly. This is our provincial capital building, completed in 1898, and the design based on a British colonial building in Calcutta, India. Built to the tune of $1 million in 1898, the cost today would probably be a little over $100 million.
Wow.
So the building is pretty extravagant for its time, considering the value of the dollar in those days. And then on our right-hand side, we have the Steamship Building, formerly the clearing house for all ships coming through from around the world into Victoria, now occupied by a Starbucks, as well as a restaurant, and then on the top level there's an art gallery. Off to our right-hand side, the Coho Ferry Terminal. This is the spot where the Coho Ferry comes in here 4 times a day from Port Angeles, Washington, just an hour and a half away across the Strait of Juan de Fuca. It's one of the most convenient and quickest ways to get into Victoria from anywhere on the coast. Now coming up on the left-hand side, we have the Pondre Mansion. William Pondre was the soap manufacturing and paint manufacturing king of Victoria, his factory being off to the right-hand side of us out on the point that he could go and visit without having to commute very far. Originally he made and lost several fortunes in the gold mining investments, and after losing his shirt more than a few times, he decided to take his final winnings and invest in something a little more reliable like soap. And at the time in Victoria in the middle 1800s, all the soap was imported from San Francisco. We were basically dependent on them like ordering from Amazon. And so once he established his soap factory off to the right-hand side of us here, he was able to, you could say, clean up pretty well in the soap marketplace. Now all along the waterfront here on the right-hand side, this was normally, in the 1800s, an industrial area. And only until recent times was it changed, and about 20 years ago these hotels sprouted up. Traditionally you could walk along here and enjoy a view of the inner harbor, and now of course your view is blocked by these hotels, but they very kindly have made walkways around the outer edges of the hotels along the water so that you can enjoy it, the public can still enjoy the views of the harbor. As we make our turn here, if you look to the right-hand side of us through the narrow cut in the trees here, there's some colorfully painted homes. These are floating houses that make up the Fisherman's Wharf Float Home Community. This is 30 homes here that used to be part of the low rent district of town. But recently, the prices of houses on the Fisherman's Wharf have gone up through the roof, just as it has done on land, with one house being sold recently, or rather put on the market recently, for $800,000. It hasn't sold for that. That would be the defining moment to tell you what the market could bear for that kind of price. But you're not going to be getting a mortgage for an $800,000 float home, because of course it can be untied and floated away any moment. Not that that generally happens, but I think the banks are a little bit more conservative than that. There's also floating restaurants at Fisherman's Wharf, so it makes it a pretty unique little place for tourism. And it's pretty bustling there in the summertime. And what am I saying? It's only September. It should sort of be summertime, but it doesn't look like it outside, does it? Unfortunately, Fortunately, the weather did hold on for us today, so we'll just praying that it'll just be enough to get you back to your ship without any rain. Now, typically we do not have rain in the summer months here, so I wouldn't expect much out of today either. It's not really until October and then well into November do we start getting the winter rains. We have kind of a monsoon season here in November, December, January, February, and March. And then it starts to lighten up a little. Our summer months are marked by drought. As you can see, the brown grass to right side of us here, it's pretty dry here, and we don't tend to water the grass. We don't waste a lot of water on grass here. And we just passed the Coast Guard base. This is the base of operations for Western Canada, and as well they have an icebreaker that goes up through the Northwest Passage to keep the ocean waters open in the Arctic. And there we are back at the cruise ship, folks. I hope that you've had a good time today in downtown Old Town Victoria and got your fill of the place. I do hope that you come back and make Victoria part of your itinerary again in the future. We have a 300-mile-long island to discover. It's the same square miles by give or take a mile or two as Belgium, so we got a lot of space here to explore, and that's just Vancouver Island. We have some pretty beautiful places to see here. Well, thanks again for joining us today, and if you've enjoyed your tour, then I would like to thank you again for your patronage, and coming back to Victoria sometime will be hopefully on your agenda. And here we are at our final stop. Please watch your step as you exit the bus. This bus cannot kneel, so just take your time.
Bye.
Safely exit the bus.